Pressure. Okay, I'll just get the timer going. Okay, everybody ready?
Absolutely.
Good stuff. And away you go.
Hello, we are Group 1. My name is George. This is Chris, Gabe and other George. We had several ideas for this project, but we took into account both the space that we had, the equipment that was available to us, time and budget constraints in order to realise the project. So at the end of it, we've come up with the journey to success. Chris?
Basically, our idea is we wanted to kind of have like a tactile map of the area in terms of where the whaling takes place. Obviously, the North Sea, England, as it goes upwards and onwards. We wanted to have, that was the first section. The main part, was it was a map of a ship, that's what I was going for. We wanted to have a layout of a whaling boat with 3 distinct sections, so you have the journey from when you set off on the journey is the first part, and the middle part, the tracking and reaching of the whales, and then the bringing back and the sailing and all the extra bits and bobs that are involved. We wanted to split them into 3 sections, to 3 activities, educational activities to help people grasp the sections. So as in a way you're becoming a whaler. You go off on the journey, you have to find your whale, you take it back, you sell it, you rinse and repeat. That's how it works. We we split into 3 sections. So if you want to tell us more about different sections, I'm going to move the slides on.
Yeah.
So we go.
Well, the first section will be a map, and whether we do a global map or a local map is depending on the information that we get. The objective is to try and locate the bowhead whale specifically, because it's supposedly the right whale. So you're allowed to focus in on certain areas, and it will give you whether the bowhead whale is there, or if not, whatever alternative whale is there. And once you find it, you move on to the second section, which is more about catching the whale. And it's essentially a quiz, and there'll be whale-based questions, mainly specifically bowhead whale-based. They won't be too complex, so most people can engage with them. And to attain a whale, you have to get a certain amount of questions right. It won't be a particularly high percentage, and then if you hit the amount of questions right, then you will catch the whale. Move on to the next bit.
Which moves on to the next part, which is you've got your whale, what do you do with it? You've got all this whale, you take the bits out of it, what can you make from the whale? So it's essentially whale or no whale via the Tinder dating app. So you get an object, say a corset, and you'd be asked, would you make this from whale or from a different animal? And it will be from
The whale!
the whale, of course it would. If I said lipstick,
A whale!
no, it's
Oh,
actually from fish scales.
Oh!
Yes. So you'll be presented with a number of items. You'd have to decide whether it's made of whale or not in the amount of time. Try and get as many right as possible. I can imagine there'd be a family of people there, all arguing with each other, like, no, that's made of fish, idiot. Right, next slide. If you get all 3 sections right, you would become a fully fledged whaler with all the perks that comes with that. That is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thanks very much.
Whale or no whale?
So you've obviously structured this very, very clearly. So just to get that back into my head, you're setting off to find the whale, and then you're trying to catch the whale, and then once you've caught the whale, you dissect it into its different components and sell it. And there's a quiz. Sorry.
We might take a softer approach on the whole dissection of the whale, because that might turn off a few of the people. So we soften up or brush over it.
It's less a let's dissect a whale. It's more of a here's an object. Would you make it from whale or something else?
Yeah.
Because then it's involved in the process, but you're not talking about pulling things out.
Yeah.
Same with the catching section. You're not specifically talking about killing the whale. It's more of an overview. It's not, again, a bit softer, not.
Yeah.
Not graphic.
It's more completing the task and then the reward is you catch a whale at the end of it.
I like the idea for especially the last quiz where you're presented with the object. Does it come from whale or not? You might be quite surprised, and then if not, you still get some more interesting information. I.e., stick is made from fish scales.
That's the plan overall. Is obviously as we're going, even if you get things wrong, it'll tell you the right answer and then explain as to what's wrong about it, what's correct, and so we're always trying to educate as we go.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have to learn as well at the same time.
So in terms of the interaction itself and the equipment that you might use,
we either wanted like an actual tactile map with kind of just buttons underneath, and as you press, then it kind of moves to like a touch screen or a display somewhere, and then obviously you'll interact with that display. We were thinking originally to use the Kinect to have like the Tinder swiping, but then it might just be a little bit, because it would only be used for that, so it might seem a little bit excessive.
and we already have a touch screen and a plinth created for that.
I think just like, the touch screen thing would probably be perfect.
Considering the space available as well.
Yeah.
So you're thinking headphones or loudspeakers?
It depends how much audio we decide to put in, because you were thinking we should do voiceovers.
Yeah, a few voiceovers wouldn't go amiss, but again, you've got to make it accessible to everyone, so you wouldn't want it to be too cartoony, but at the same time you wouldn't want it to be too factual. So whether we include voiceovers depends on the quality of the research that we can get our hands on, and depending if we can convey it with a simple text-based message or whether it would require a voiceover just so that the meatier parts are a bit easier to digest.
Okay. Robin, have you got any questions or comments?
Yeah. How long would you envisage someone spending looking at this?
5 minutes. Because I would want it to be fairly burst, like obviously kind of burst, because I mean the questions were not going to take too long to answer.
The idea of each section is to have a timer on each section, so that say you'd have 30 seconds on each section, you have to get so many things right in that amount of time to progress.
But it's fast-paced and competitive, so people will want to have a go to try and beat your high score, or you'll want to have another go to try and improve your high score, or it's a lot of people will want to get involved in that, especially if they're with a group of people.
And what will happen if someone walked in and started it off and then walked away?
The time will count
reset
down.
to reset out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be halfway through a game and start there.
I think it's good. I like the whale or no whale. If I was being very critical, I'd say you've done 3 interactives there instead of 1. And
So-
bear in mind you're competing with the polar bear, it's our most popular exhibit. And I would say definitely not headphones, because people have to be like secondary viewers to.
So that it kind of reduces involvement, doesn't it? Which would be
Quiet speakers, perhaps.
And just, you find it in your research anyway, because it is confusing. What they actually call whalebone is baleen. It's not bone. So that's, for some reason they called it that, so it's very confusing.
Oh right, so they're called baleen whalebone.
Yeah.
Right, so the whalebone corsets are actually baleen from the mouth. Right. Interesting.
See, that's what we're
It's still from a whale.
Even we're learning stuff. But we have also identified lots of areas where we could expand, budget depending. We'd get the basics down and then see if we could afford perhaps a small printer to print off a certificate once you pass the whaling course. So that's just a nice thing to take home. I mean, it would only be a black and white thing, it wouldn't be anything too fancy, but just something that has an element of novelty for the people, so that they've got something to remember it by. Maybe they'll want to come again.
I think audio is good because you need to pull people into that room.
And certainly characterization has worked well in the past for that kind of interactive, so perhaps it's an older whaler teaching a novice or something like that.
That'd be your job.
Perhaps. There wouldn't be too many ideas, but
We do actually have an advantage as well, because I had a project over the summer making audio for a ship-based game. So I can't believe I didn't mention it yesterday, but I'm making audio for a ship-based game, and I managed to wangle all the copyright for it, so we can use all that.
Yay.
I suppose the other thing to say about that is, I think comments that we've had back in the past about voiceovers. Obviously, all the people on this module are male, but we do have female students and also drama students in the same school, and I think sort of representing a range of genders is also a useful thing to think about. That.
Well, I do know lots of people in the drama and societies and stuff. I'm a member of Guild and Sullivan Society, and I also work on the union where a lot of drama students happen to work as well, so I'm pretty sure I could find somebody easily to do a few voiceovers for us.
Great.
I'll get you a girl.
Anything else? Great. Okay. Well done, everyone.
Thank you very much.